A story out of the Special Commissioner of Investigation for the New York School District alleges that employees stole benefits intended for homeless students in order to take their family to Disney World. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and it's just me on my own today. And I want to keep everyone safe as we talk about this. What happens in Disney stays in Disney. New York City educrats took own kids to Magic Kingdom on trips meant for homeless students. This by Susan Edelman, and published just a few days ago in the New York Post. This is an amazing story to me. 6 Department of Education employees used forged permission slips to take their own kids and grandchildren to Disney World and on other city-funded trips meant for homeless students, investigators allege. The secret perks robbed some of the city's most disadvantaged kids of a chance to enjoy the Magic Kingdom, a trip that cost $66,000 for 50 or so adults and kids, a staffer said, and other multiple-day trips between 2016 and 2019 to Washington. Sorry, they're saying Washington, D.C. or Washington and D.C. I don't know. New Orleans, Boston, upstate Rocking Horse Ranch Resort, and Frost Valley YMCA Campground, according to a newly released report by the Special Commissioner of Investigation for City Schools, Linda M. Wilson, a Queens supervisor of the Department of Education Students in Temporary Housing, took her own 2 daughters on trips and encouraged colleagues to take their sons, daughters, and grandkids, but tried to cover up the shady practice when SCI started to ask questions. The report said, "This is not her. This is Shaquita. Sorry, Shaquita. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Boyd." Here. What happens here stays with us, Wilson allegedly told coworkers. She said everyone should stick to the same story, that we did not take our children on the trip, an employee told the Post. She told us to lie to investigators. So it sounds like Miss Wilson is already being rolled on. I want to go here to the original document. This is from the Special Commissioner of Investigation for the New York City School District. Here, this is from and being sent to the Honorable David C. Banks, the Chancellor of the New York City Public Schools. This document is like 7 pages here, and it goes through and talks about the investigation. They told investigators that she processed payment requests for vendors for busing, food, lodging, and all other itinerary items for the trips planned by Wilson. The name is redacted, but that person said that according to the Chancellor's regulations, all trips must have an educational component. There must be a valid permission slip for each student in attendance, and no family members or staff may attend trips, even if the Department of Education is reimbursed. So they're saying they would have sent these kids on their own with educators? Interesting. Let's see. A trip to Frost Valley YMCA Campground in Claryville, New York. Here, there's also Blank told investigators that a trip to Disney World in Florida was actually attended by some Department of Education students, but several staff members, including Wilson, Jack, Ramos, and Sylvester, the other people, there are 6 total people named in this investigation here, also brought family members. Blank said that he had to beg Wilson to allow him to add 2 of his students to the trip. So this was known, and this woman who was already, it sounds like she's misappropriating government funds. Imagine that, a teacher misappropriating government funds and not using the funds for what they are intended to do that. You would never expect that from a government employee in a state like New York. I'm shocked here that she wanted to take her own children, and there were students who actually wanted to go on the trip, and they're saying that they had to beg Wilson to allow them to add students to the trip. That's a little bit ridiculous. Blank, another person, could be the same one, further told investigators that she gave Blank the USB drive containing 168 electronic photographs from a day trip to Washington, D.C. in 2016. Oh, so this is going on for a while, and they're naming all of their kids here. This is amazing to me. Blank was present for the Walt Disney World trip and said that in addition to SDH students, several staff brought family members on the trip. Blank also told investigators Wilson, Castro, Jack, and Sylvester all brought family members to trips to Disney World, Washington, D.C., and Rocking Horse Ranch. We're going to go back to the New York Post here for the rest. Few of the homeless students listed on the paperwork actually attended the trips, a whistleblower told the Special Commission for Investigations. And the city paid a $300,000 federal grant from the National Center for Homeless Education meant to give kids enrichment and incentives to improve their attendance or academics. Most out-of-town trips included 4 to 6 staff members as chaperones and 1 or 2 buses for about 30 kids. Can you even imagine going on a Disney trip under circumstances like this, where you are literally ripping people off? Also, I'm going to point out that Disney trips are more expensive than they need to be. So not only are they wasting money that was intended for someone else, they're also wasting money on a park that is, I'm going to say it, a bit overpriced. Haven't you heard of Dollywood? I mean, Dollywood's a great value, in my opinion. Beautiful park with a little bit of history in there. And also you can get them some cinnamon bread. Buses alone cost $2,700. I mean, these balloons right here, I wonder how much of that 300,000 right there went just towards $16 balloons. For those of you familiar with the Nelson Pelt stuff, you know what I'm talking about here. We got some pictures of them on the trip. And this is where it brings it home to me. After completing its probe in January of 2023, the SCI recommended Chancellor David Banks terminate all 6 employees and require them to pay restitution, with the amounts to be determined by the Department of Education. My question here is, when you look at this, if these are students that they literally don't know where they are going to sleep every night, and they try to do something nice for them. By the way, the permission slips, according to this story, said that they were going on college scouting trips. And I'm hopeful with the student loan assistance program that students would actually be able to get into some of these colleges. But it sounds like, even though they forged this paperwork here to try to say that their kids were going on these college trips, they didn't even do the fake trip that they weren't entitled to. They went to Disney instead, or some ranch or whatever. The Department of Education also fired attendance teacher Jack on September 5th, records show. In a settlement last month with the Conflict of Interest Board, Jack admitted using slots intended for homeless kids to take her 2 daughters to see the Broadway show Wicked on a trip to Washington, D.C. in 2016. Excursions she was hired to chaperone. Agreed to pay a $1,200 fine, but was slashed from the original $3,000 because of financial hardship of losing her job. So she lost her job because she did it, and because they fired her, she couldn't pay the fine, and so they took $1,800 off. Well, there's a racket for you. Amazing. The SCI decided not to refer the cases for criminal prosecution, citing the lack of available documentation, a spokesperson said. This is an amazing amount of abuse to me. I don't understand people who abuse a system like this, especially one like I'm assuming that an accountant goes through and checks each one of these things against a receipt. I don't know. I guess they're not going to go name by name if they just verify the name of students. So I guess they thought they were going to get away with this, but they didn't. I'm just going to throw this out here. Is this the kind of thing that you would do if you were given the opportunity, to steal from a homeless student and take your kids to a Walt Disney World resort? I don't think that's cool. And it's not often that we get to talk about Disney World and focus on someone else's crimes here. Let us know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Like this video if you like this video. And remember, a trip to Disney is not worth your eternal soul. Keep it clean, y'all. And stay tuned to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.